Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jed Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast and iHeartRadio Best Kids and Family Podcast Award nominee. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading with Your Kids on Instagram, at Jedley Magic on Twitter. Our guest today is Leah Orleans, one half of the fantastic circus troupe Acrobatrix. Before we invite Leah in to talk about her ABCs of fitness, we want to let you know we have a brand new Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Walkout by Tina Shepherdson has just been named a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. This is a wonderful and a really powerful book. You know, violence in school is something that kids deal with regularly, whether it's kids getting into scuffles, being bullied, or even worse, school shootings. Parents always want to know how they can teach their children about school safety without making them afraid. Our children need to be heard and spoken to with honesty and empathy. Tina Shepherdson has created Walkout to do just that. Written with empowering, child-friendly language, the main character, Maddie, organizes a school walkout to support safe schools, but her friend Stella is unsure about joining. She's afraid of what might happen to her. At the same time, Maddie's principal has announced that only the older grades can participate. In the end, the kids learn that they are never too young to stand up for what is right. Walkout is absolutely delightful, it is empowering, and it is something that you will love sharing with your kids. Check it out today. Walkout by Tina Shepherdson, our latest Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Join us right now from St. Petersburg in the beautiful state of Florida. I'm really excited about this because I am a fan of our guest tonight. I discovered her on Instagram. When I started on Instagram, I typed in circus performers, and one of the first acts that came up was Acrobatrix. And our guest tonight is one of the stars of Acrobatrix, and she's doing something really cool. Please welcome to the show, Leah Orleans. Leah, how are you?
Hi, Jed. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great.
I am really excited that you're here, and we like to be honest here on the show. Leah and I just did this a minute ago, and then, you know, technology is awesome until it isn't. And tonight it wasn't, and Leah is doing it again. So I'm really excited about it. And I like it.
We can continue the conversation, too. We are having a lovely conversation.
Yeah.
Now we just get to talk for longer.
That's right. That's right. So Leah is, like I said, she's part of Acrobatrix, and it's an amazing, really, really funny act that tours cruise ships and Renaissance fairs all over the United States, Canada. You go up to Canada? Yeah. So international performing star, and she's doing something really cool because a couple of months ago, Leah's world and the world of a lot of performing artists and the world of a lot of the techs that work in performing arts, their world came crashing down because performances stopped. And you needed to pivot. And what did you do to pivot?
Yeah, so about a month after the pandemic hit and we lost all of our work, it happened on one day. You know, I remember getting essentially a series of phone calls, and that kind of solidified that a large amount of the work was just gone, and it wasn't going to come back. And it was nobody's fault. You know, it wasn't a reason, but it was just all gone. And I think the pivot is the word that's been being used a lot, and it's about you taking what you have and essentially rebranding it and putting it in a different way. So I started doing the ABCs of Fitness 19-day check-in challenges through the workout program, the ABCs of Fitness, that I developed the prior year.
And you were thinking, like probably I was, that first 19-day challenge, that was going to be it. We're 19 days and we'll be back to normal.
Yeah, pretty much. The idea just kind of happened all at once, and I didn't even care about the money at that point. It was the first challenge that I offered. If you did all 19 days in a row, you got a refund of the full program. And that's actually what made such a big impact starting out. I got 100 signups in my first day, and I was like, okay, this is something, people want this. And I think what they really were attracted to was the attention and the idea that somebody would be accountable for them, because everyone was realizing all at once that we weren't going to be able to be there for each other anymore.
And that was really hard. And it must have hit you especially hard because as a circus performer, the circus is all about family and being there and working together and even working with folks that people never see on stage.
Oh my God, it's such a big element. One of my best friends on tour is my sound tech in Colorado. And knowing that I won't be able to spend time with him, but also that he can't do his art right now because he supports our art, which supports everyone's art. So it's a chain. There's so many more people that go into a show than just the two people you see on stage, and losing that and exactly that family has been really, really hard.
Yeah. But the neat thing is something really neat has come out of this. You've taken a negative and really turned it into positive. The ABCs of fitness. I love this, and I love the what the ABCs stand for.
Yeah. So it's a 3-episode workout program. A is for active flexibility, which is essentially like a repetitive yoga, a little less zen, a little more form and structure. B is for body weight, and not the weight of your body, but a body weight workout. So push-ups, sit-ups, exercises that use your body weight. And then C is for cardio. So that's 10 minutes of a high-intensity interval training where we do work for 40 seconds and then we rest for 40 seconds. So we're working, then we're resting between 40 and 10 seconds. And as a result, you get your heart rate up really, really fast in a short amount of time. And it's very effective for a short workout. Yeah. So the ABCs of fitness is the 3 episodes.
And this is a really a family-friendly exercise program.
Yes, absolutely. The exercise is not designed for children, but it is absolutely 100% enjoyed by children. So it was designed for adults and for adults to be able to use it and understand it. But each exercise comes with an icon and an image in a cute little picture doodle. And that helps you memorize the exercises by learning the workout and learning the icons.
Yeah. And that's, you know, you mentioned that these aren't kid exercises. And I'll have to be honest with you. I'm not a real big fan, even though I perform kid shows, I'm not a real big fan of stuff that's created just for kids. Kid music, kid magic. And I don't think kids are either.
Yeah, I think that kids can smell lies told by adults, and kids can smell fear, and kids can smell being talked down to, and when they are. And I think that that's a big problem, actually, that the fitness industry has is you have your children's workouts and then your lose weight, your fat workouts. And it doesn't really have something that's just about moving your body and enjoying it. And why should that be for a certain age group? Just like why should it be for a certain gender? And I'm really happy that our workout is enjoyed a lot by people of all genders and children of all genders and kids that don't want to be talked to in one way or told that they need to lose weight so they'll be liked by men, you know, which is constantly a lie that's peddled by the adult fitness industry.
And it makes perfect sense because you're coming from a world that, unlike most entertainment, it's not targeted at just one demographic. The circus is family. It's always been something that everybody has loved. And so it makes perfect sense that you kind of created a fitness program that fit that mold too.
That's a wonderful comparison. Yeah, thank you. I am a family entertainer. Our circus show is mostly performed at cruise ships, colleges, and Renaissance festivals. So I'm entertaining people that are all different ages, and yet I want the parents to laugh just as genuinely as the kids laugh. And I don't want the parents to like it just because the kids like it. I want to tell a joke that is going to hit the parents differently And then the kids are going to think we're cute and bright and colorful. So of course they'll love us.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about relationship humor, and my partner and I are doing tricks and climbing all over each other. And of course there are jokes to be, pieced together, adult jokes pieced together. But I have 9-year-olds who are obsessed with my character, and I take pictures with 5-year-olds after the show, and it's the family, it's the whole family.
Yeah.
The whole fam.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the ABCs of fitness.
Yes.
I love this. Earlier on, you showed us an exercise that I loved, the fishbowl. Can you let us know about that again?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'll put the little, the icon up here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to talk about an exercise called fishbowl toe taps. So this is a 2-part exercise, but the first part involves a book. So you don't need any equipment in my program, the ABCs of Fitness. You could do it all in your home right now, tomorrow, without having to buy anything. You need a yoga block, and if you don't have a yoga block, you could use a book. I recommend like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, a book that's kind of large. This is the book I'm using today. So I'm going to lay down on my back, on my floor, with my legs up in the air, and then I'm going to take my book and place it on my feet by bending my knees. So now it's balanced on my feet, and my legs are pretty much straight. And I'm going to put my hands on either side of my body, lift my hips up ever so slightly by engaging my abs, and twist my hip from arm to arm. So I'm lifting up and I'm twisting my butt over so it touches my arm, and then I'm twisting to the other side. I'm going back and forth, and I'm thinking about the book being a fishbowl with a little fishy swimming inside. And I don't want to kill my fish by like dropping the block or anything. And then I can bend down and grab my block. Now if I want to make it harder, I can do my fishbowl, and then I can reach up and tap my toes. And then do my fishbowl and tap my toes. So that's a way to make it more difficult once you're used to just fishbowls.
That looks like a great exercise that kids would love to do with their parents.
Yeah, because you drop your fish, and that's the fun part. At some point, your book is going to fall, and it's going to be fun and funny, and you're going to say, oh, I dropped my fish, and it's goofy, and then you do it again, and now you have motivation. Now you have a reason to do the exercise right. Because if you're doing these exercises without a block, your feet are probably going to be too far over your head, or they might be too far behind, and your form is going to be altered because you didn't have a reason to make it right, and you didn't have a teacher in your living room telling you you're doing it wrong. And that's the difference between a fitness program that's taught for long-term fitness. So this is a program that you use every day, and it's only 10 minutes. Maybe you do 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm not asking you to bang out an hour, So.
And I love that strategy of the fishbowl because, like, as you said, it keeps perfect form and it helps kids be mindful of what they're doing. Because a lot of times kids and even old men like me, a lot of times we just, all right, I got to do 10 minutes of this. I really don't feel like it. And okay, the feet are up and one foot's over here, one foot's over there. This way the kids have to focus and be mindful, and the adults have to too.
Yeah, the adults will be just as motivated as the kids will because you're activating your mind and your body together.
Let's talk a little bit about how did you come to be an acrobat, an incredibly talented acrobat at that?
Thank you very much. I started when I was young, like most kids do, in gymnastics, but as soon as I started to get strong enough to be able to compete, I started to freak out. I got a ton of anxiety really fast. I didn't like the idea of being judged or losing. I think it was hard about the idea of losing because somebody else's knees were straighter than mine, or I wasn't the right height, or my hips were a different proportion than another girl, and it resulting in a loss felt weird. And I was a theater kid, an artsy kid, I got along well working together. I'm like an ensemble person. And so circus was this perfect place for my young brain to thrive in that with all of those combinations. And I started in a youth circus program in Chicago called the Actors Gymnasium. And then I continued to study as I grew up and train harder and work harder, frankly. And then I ended up going to circus school and starting a circus company.
I imagine some people either listening or seeing this on YouTube would think circus school. That doesn't compute. What do you mean? And they're really amazing places.
Yeah, absolutely. Circus gyms, circus studios, circus schools are really odd and wonderful. There's a lot of intricacies. Sometimes it can remind me of like a Hogwarts type, where you have these like cool professors who are all like quirky and have different backgrounds and skills, and then you have kids who are like super good at one skill, like one arm handstands, and they're like, it's filled with fun.
I love that you're talking about starting your circus training early, and there are a lot of parents out there. I shared this with Leah earlier. My daughter, when she was a kid, she started dancing when she was like 2.5, and she danced until she was 18. But at age 5, she was on this team, and they won this national championship. And immediately afterwards, before the celebration was even completed, the owner of the studio came up to us and said, "Excellent. We won the nationals. We're going to the internationals next year, and the kids are going to be dancing 17 hours a week." And I said, "No, my daughter's 5. She needs to be a kid. She needs to have fun. There needs to be more than in her life than plies and turns and whatnot." And circus is this wonderful activity that is cooperative, and it's not based on competition. It's based on skills, lifelong skills, and cooperation. Can you talk a little bit more about that circus culture?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, like you said, you were spot on. It's collaborative. I think that it's unique as an art form because it's a creative art. So the circus work that I'll create comes out of me and is flavored like me as a person. And just because we have one hand balancer doing a number and you have another hand balancer doing a number, they can be so drastically different and beautiful. And one can be funny and strange, and one can be, sad and balletic. And it's both still circus. It's still circus, and it still has, no one says it's wrong, and one circus show that you'll see if you come to like our circus show, we do a 2-person comedy circus show. Old school, vaudeville style, humor back and forth, my partner and I, and we're doing tricks and climbing all over each other, saying jokes, doing a flip, saying another joke. And that's so unique in our own way. And then I have friends who work with Cirque du Soleil, who have a team of 150 people that are all just working on the lighting and the tech. It's a $1 billion company that is a creation of collaborative minds en masse, in large scale. And it's still both circus.
Yeah. Yeah. And the neat thing that a lot of folks don't understand, Cirque du Soleil came from street performers.
It did. Yeah. The founder has a street performer background.
Yeah.
I don't know a ton about his history, and that company. I've never worked for them, although we do train with them and spend time up in Canada often. I can't speak in depth, but a lot of performers started as street performers as well. Yeah. It's a really strong place to start.
Yeah. It's a fun place to perform too. It's really challenging, and it's a lot of fun. I love what you're talking about here. One of the things, I'm glad you specified early on that when you're talking about body weight, you're not talking about how much you weigh. You're talking about using your body weight to do strength exercises.
Yes. That's
important for you in our conversations, that whole idea of helping people have a positive body image is so very, very important to you.
It's essential, and it's not found. And I think that it's slowly changing, and with the body positivity movement and it being more socially acceptable to speak out about body positivity now more than ever, I think it's in the right direction, but say you go to a Barnes and Noble or a bookstore and you see the health and wellness section that has books on dieting and yoga and workouts and changing your body and losing weight and cardio and happiness. And then next to that, there's a mental health section that's about depression and suicide and eating disorders and bulimia and issues. And there's nothing in the middle for people who maybe had a history or have experiences in their lives with negativity towards their own body, who want to move and who still want to be fit, but they have grown from these and have these. And there's a lot of people like that out there, me being one of them. Mm-hmm. And I saw this as an issue and something that I felt like I had the power to change and the opportunity to change.
Yeah. What was it in your life that helped you heal?
I feel lucky enough that I struggled, and I'll talk really openly about this because I think it shouldn't be a problem to talk about, but I struggled with body weight issues and body image issues in my teens and growing up, like so many of us did. And we were told that our bodies weren't good enough, or we told they should look a certain way. And I fell into a deep hole about it, I think. I feel lucky enough to have a community and parents and friends who were really open to listening and helping me change those habits and heal from that. Also, I think moving out and living alone was really different when I started to have complete control over what I ate and when changed that for me, I think. And also just learning to love myself the way that I am and knowing that feeling good and looking good are more important from within mm-hmm. than looking like someone else mm-hmm. or feeling a way someone else told you to or said you should feel. Yeah.
It's amazing. Probably when I was a young dopey guy, looked at the models and all that other kind of stuff. I'm at a point in my life right now where when I see somebody who just is happy and they just have confidence and they just love life, that's so attractive and it's just so beautiful. When I see that in kids, when I see that in other adults, I just love that and it makes me happy and it's so much more real than Barbie.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's hard I think we all feel that way. When we see someone who's glowing, they're glowing from the inside. Mm-hmm. And I think the hard thing is that we are told the inverse of that, which is to love myself, I must look a certain way. And I think women are too, young girls are a lot. And as a result, we have to battle the part of us that says you're not good enough. Mm-hmm. Even though people around us all the time can be saying, you're good enough, you're good enough, you're good enough. We have to learn to say it to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that happens during the formative years. And it can happen whenever, but I think you're the most vulnerable when you're in those teens, early teens.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting the image that you shared with us about Barnes and Noble and those fitness books being right next to the mental health books. And it baffles my mind, as you were saying that, why people haven't made that connection. Because I know myself, when I spend an hour on the elliptical here in the studio, that high that I get from that workout is unlike anything else in the world. Talk about helping
absolutely.
Me get into a good state, mental health state.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's hard to sell that. Mm. I think it's hard to sell, you'll feel good. It's easier to sell, you'll look like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard for the fitness industry. It's easier for the fitness industry to sell based on fear mm-hmm. and shame mm-hmm. and tactics that make women go, oh, am I good enough? I think I need to buy this thing and then I'll be good enough. Mm-hmm. If only I buy this thing, then I'll be good enough. Yeah. It's just one more thing to buy. And that's makeup. That's a padded bra. That's, it's so much of what females are told to buy, and people in general. It doesn't have to be gendered, It's just it's gross.
Yeah. Yes, that is exactly the word. It is gross. Hey, we're doing this. It's our typical podcast, but we're also using the magic of video. So, can you share another exercise with us that we can do with our kids?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I am going to give you guys, so this is not an exercise that's in the ABCs of Fitness, because I don't want to give away any of that good stuff. This is an exercise that I teach in my handstand workshops, which is something else I do outside of the ABCs of Fitness program. So the ABCs of Fitness program is not designed for circus people. It has no splits, no back bends, no handstands. Anyone can do it. But on the side, I teach handstand workshops. So in the handstand workshops, we have to warm up our wrists. So we're going to do the peanut butter wrist warm up. So yes.
I can do this one with you. Well, I can try to do this one with you.
You can do this at home too. Just follow my voice.
Yes.
Follow my voice, and we'll do a peanut butter wrist warm up. So take your hands and stick them in 2 jars of peanut butter out in front of you in fists. And really imagine this peanut butter. And then open your hands and scrape your hands around the edges of the jar. And as you scrape, you get to the edges, you get through the peanut butter, and you're getting into the edges. And the more you think about the peanut butter, the more you're really going to be doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Do you feel it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so it's like nutty and crunchy and organic and expensive.
Oh, you get the whole food peanut butter. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So then you pull your hands out and you flick off the peanut butter. It's sticky, and you don't have to shake your wrists, but I want you to actively flick.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Good. You can shake them a little bit if you want, but it's more about the flicking. Good. Now we're gonna crush the nuts. So 1 peanut at a time. We're gonna touch the tips of our fingers to the tips of our thumbs, keeping our hands flat, like straight, and our fingers straight. Yes.
That's harder than it looks.
Yeah, it is hard, keeping your hands straight. So you're stretching the backs of your wrists. If you type a lot during the day, these get tense. If you're on your phone a lot, holding your phone, they get tense. And if you start to put your entire weight on your wrists, like you're about to do a handstand, it could get tense. So do 2 more. And then relax your fingers.
So this is something that even if you're not going to be doing crazily handstands, someone can get a lot out of this.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. One of the things we talk a lot about here on the podcast is just how important it is for us as parents to model a love of reading. If we want our kids to read, to develop that love of reading, they need not only to have us read to them, but they need to see us reading. So when they're teenagers and they have all these books that they have to read, they need to see us choosing to read and loving reading. And I think the same is true with exercise.
Absolutely.
And this is certainly a great way for parents and kids to exercise together, just like we read together with our kids. But I think it's also a great way for our kids, when they're not in the mood to exercise, when they see us get down and get on the machine, do that 10 minutes of the ABCs of Fitness. That is a great modeling.
It tells them that their parent is taking care of their body. And I think that that's just important. I think that's an important thing to model. And that tells them as kids that they should take care of their own, and that it's worth time, especially when we're all living together all the time in the house. Your mom's not at work, and then maybe she goes to work out after work, and then she comes home and you see her, or something like that. Like it's a little different. There's a little more like leeway, but when you're with your kids all the time, this is the time to show them how important that is, especially as we approach winter and we all start to get really inside, and it's super easy to just, stay at home and eat mac and cheese all day like I do all the time.
I also think it's a great way to kind of relieve some of that tension that you might be feeling.
Yes, absolutely. Just working out is such a big immune booster and endorphin rush, and it just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Like I said before.
Hey, one of the things that made me feel good was when I checked out your website, and it's really neat. There's a lot of fun colors. It doesn't surprise me coming from a circus performer. So tell us about where we can find these great workout programs.
Absolutely. You can find more at theabcsoffitness.com or Instagram at abcsoffitness. There's no the in the Instagram, but there is a the in the website.
And you were saying earlier that this is a 3-episode. The ABCs of Fitness is a 3-episode
Yes.
package.
And it's a single download. There's no subscription. You buy it once. I believe in content ownership, even if that means it's going to get shared around a little more than I want it to.
But I think most people are getting it. That when artists create something, and if they don't get it, this would be a good time to remind them. Leah works hard on her art. She works hard on creating this fitness program, and it's great that you buy it. And if your friends love it, they come over and they do it. Well, instead of giving them a copy of it, I suggest that they pick it up themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think this is one of the last art forms that theater and entertainment are one of the last art forms where your money goes directly to the people who are doing it. And when you go to a place and you spend money on a ticket to a concert, it goes to the production team and it goes to the artists and maybe the bar that's hosting it, and everybody has their own cut, but it's pretty direct compared to Netflix streaming, where, it goes through a channel of 12 different sponsors and 8 different parent companies before it ever gets to the artist. Mm-hmm. And we've unionized as a result, and that's why there are actors unions and performer unions, and that's why they matter. But, there's no Renaissance performer union. That's not a thing. Mm-hmm. So it goes directly to us, It's really small businesses at its finest.
And I think, too, before we go, we should just remind folks, we hear all the time on the news that, so many restaurants are closing. They're closing for good. There are waiters and waitresses and cooks and servers that are out of work. They don't know when they're going back to work. The same is true in the arts. And especially in the performing arts, there are performers, and not just the performers that you see on stage. As Leah mentioned, she has a sound tech she loves to work with. There are riggers, there are stage hands, there are truck drivers, there are caterers. There's literally tens, maybe, hundreds of thousands of people around the country. But there's thousands and thousands of people that are out of work, and they have There's no light at the end of the tunnel at the moment.
Yeah, we don't know how long this is going to last. And that's really difficult for many different layers and layers and layers of people that go into just making you happy. Mm-hmm. Like I joke with my partner all the time that our job is to create smiles and to produce laughter. That's it. We did a good job if people laugh a lot and we hang out. That's pretty much it. They laugh, they clap, sometimes they cry out of joy, and they gasp, and that means we are doing our job right. Yeah. And we make you feel things, and it's hard where that is now not an essential service, because it is essential to feel things. It's essential to get an endorphin rush and to laugh and to cry about stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just think about how difficult this time would be without Netflix, without books, without music. Yeah. It would be certainly a different experience for folks. And I'm just so happy that we've had this time. No, before we go, too, you also, in addition to the ABCs of Fitness, you're also doing live classes? Yeah.
So I offer live Zoom workshops and shows and classes. Most of the information is on my Instagram page when we have it as well. The ABCs of Fitness gets updated a lot. I'm teaching very specific things. So I'll teach like an hour and a half on handstands or 2 hours on splits. And that'll be really great for people that want to get deep into it. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes I host like fun 30-minute workout with me. And I use this really incredible software called Ecamm that allows me to use all these graphics and put things on the screen about different surfaces you're doing during handstands and how there are different pillars of strength and balance and control. And I get to create all these cute little pastel colored graphics that really help people learn and remember things. And it creates an interactive experience that's so much more than just a Zoom call.
Yeah. And I love that you're educating. It's not just do this, do that, pick this up, move this way, move that way. You're doing a kind of a whole kind of person education.
Yeah. It's dropped into, over the past 6 months, I've done over 25 Zoom workshops and run 8 rounds of challenges, and it's morphed into this combination between education and entertainment. And I think it's difficult because people are more willing to pay for education than they are entertainment. But if the education isn't entertaining, they won't learn. Mm-hmm. Or they'll maybe, not as many of them will learn as easily. Mm-hmm. And they won't stay as engaged.
Absolutely.
And I've been trying to merge my skills to create a really engaging experience that also releases endorphins and makes you feel good and maybe lose some weight if that's a goal of yours. But it doesn't have to be, and that's okay too.
Yeah. Well, we've had a blast. I want to encourage everybody to check out the abcsoffitness.com. Be sure to connect with Leah on Instagram. You might also want to check out Acrobatics on Instagram. Yeah. They have some great video up there of their shows. You can get a feel of what it would be like to be in the crowd at a Renaissance fair. We've had a great time talking with our friend Leah Orleans. Leah, thanks so much for being on the show, and thanks for doing it a second time too.
Thank you so much. It's been great to talk. It's been really great to get to know you. Thank you.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be acclaimed illusionist Lynn Dilly. She will be here to celebrate Your Vote is Magic. Want to thank everybody who made today's show wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our guest, Leah Orleans. Please be sure to find Acrobatrix on Instagram. Also want to thank my team, my amazing daughter, Alejandra Doherty, my producer, Fatima Khan, my awesome author ambassador, Peggy Cotto. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. I want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.